This content is based on facts for educational purposes. We do not intend to defame any company. Logos are omitted for copyright.
For years, Apple's whole brand has been built on one single promise, right? A secure, private ecosystem, this perfect walled garden. But what if that garden isn't really for you? Today, we're going to look at the cracks in those walls and ask a really tough question. Is it a fortress built to protect you, or is it a prison designed to protect their bottom line?
So you probably remember this. Back in 2016, this was Apple playing the hero. They stood up to the FBI, right? Refused to unlock an iPhone. It was this huge public moment where they painted themselves as the ultimate defenders of your privacy. And honestly, it was a powerful move, or at least that's how it looked at the time.
But let's really think about that. What if that whole public stand was more about marketing than their actual mission? What if those famous walls aren't just about keeping the bad guys out? What if they're really there to lock you in, making you feel safe when you're anything but? All right, let's get into it. First stop, the App Store. This is supposed to be the crown jewel of Apple's security, right? Every app is supposedly checked, vetted, and made super safe. Well, some new research tells a completely different story.
815,000. That's how many secrets researchers from Cyber News found. And when we say secrets, we're talking about the digital keys to your life. API keys, credentials, you name it. They were just hard-coded, basically left out in the open inside the apps on your phone for anyone to find if they just looked.
And look, this isn't some tiny fringe problem affecting a couple of random apps. We're talking about 8% of all the iOS apps they looked at. That is a huge chunk of the supposedly curated and safe App Store.
So, what does this actually mean for you? Well, it's not just some abstract tech issue. It means your private conversations, your photos, everything could be exposed. We're talking about real-world consequences here. Blackmail, financial loss, all because of leaks in apps that were supposed to be safe.
Okay, so the apps are leaky. But what about the operating system itself? You know, the foundation of the whole thing? Well, let's just say it's not much better. Security researchers at DEF CON, one of the biggest hacking conferences in the world, basically show that iOS is just full of holes that totally undermine the very privacy features Apple is always bragging about. Get this. You know that Hidden Photos album? The one you think is super secure behind Face ID? Turns out you can get Siri to share a photo from it with a simple voice command. It completely bypasses the lock. The phone just remembers the last photo you saw, even if it was in that locked album, and Siri can be tricked into sending it right out.
And what about private browsing? Same story. There was a bug in the Shortcuts app that for a split second would flash all of your private tabs on the screen before it even asked for Face ID. A split second is all it takes for someone looking over your shoulder. So much for private, right?
This one is kind of wild. Even with your phone totally locked, a simple command and spotlight search could make it start playing the last audiobook you were listening to. The researcher who found this, his last book was 50 Shades of Grey. Imagine that blasting out in a quiet room. And Apple's response? They didn't even see it as a security risk. It just goes to show how little control you might have over a device that's supposed to be locked down.
It gets even crazier. You could be tricked into sending an email to a totally hidden recipient. It works with a simple copy-paste trick in your contacts. So you think you're sending a private message to, say, Harry Potter, but it's secretly being sent to Voldemort at the same time. And the worst part? Your phone would lie to you, showing it only went to Harry. It's a fundamental betrayal of trust.
And this control, this isn't just about software. It goes right down to the physical hardware. It's called part pairing. Here's what it means. If you take a genuine Apple screen from one iPhone and put it on another identical iPhone, features like Face ID will just stop working. Apple says this is for security, but let's be real. This is about killing independent repair. It's designed to make your phone worthless to anyone but them, forcing you to pay their high prices for any fix. This isn't security, it's extortion, plain and simple.
So, we've seen the technical flaws, but honestly, the most disturbing thing might be the shift in Apple's entire philosophy. Remember that big principled stand against the FBI back in 2016? Well, let's see how that principle holds up under pressure. Just look at this timeline. It's incredible. In 2016, they refused to build a backdoor for the FBI, saying it was a dangerous precedent. Fast forward just 5 years to 2021, and what do? They announced they're building a system to scan your photos right on your device. They basically built the very backdoor they once fought against. And this is where it gets really scary. Security experts immediately called this a Trojan horse, because once you build a system that can scan for one thing, What's to stop it from scanning for something else? You create this powerful surveillance tool that can be easily twisted by authoritarian governments to hunt for political dissent, protesters, you name it. It's classic slippery slope.
So where does this all lead? Well, it leads to a place where those high-minded principles get thrown out the window for profit. And there's no better example of this than Apple's relationship with China. In order to sell iPhones in China, Apple has basically become a tool of government censorship. They've removed apps you use every day, like WhatsApp and Threads. They've proactively censored tens of thousands of other apps. They've blocked tools that pro-democracy protesters relied on. And they've even nerfed features like AirDrop that people were using to share information freely. And this slide just lays the hypocrisy bare. You've got Apple's promise on one side, a steadfast commitment to privacy, and then you have the reality in China on the other, actively censoring and disabling tools for freedom to appease the government. The promise of empowering people rings pretty hollow when you're helping a government disempower its own citizens, doesn't it?
So let's bring it all back. After everything we've looked at, the leaky apps, the huge security holes, the complete 180 on privacy, and their willingness to censor for profit, we have to ask the question again. Who is this walled garden really for? Is it there to protect you, or is it there to protect Apple's profits and control? You tell me.